mother's pearls, and we should go down and check on them right now. That sort of thing. You see?
So how does this apparition get this information?
It's obviously, from the way it's acting and the way it's speaking, it's able to invisibly wander around and spy on things that are going on right now. And while it's doing so, apparently nobody can see it, or at least the Xanathar can't see it and blast it. Or it would have been blasted long ago. And it can.
So this is all current clack. This isn't them remembering from 200 years ago.
No. This is right now.
So this apparition apparently is floating unbeknownst to everybody around the city, and seeing, oh, look what's happening over here. I think I'll float over here. Ooh, that sounds intriguing. Why don't I go tell this guy this?
Yeah. In other words, it is stirring the pot for its own reasons.
Which is what Xanathar would do.
Yeah, but it's also obviously anti the current Xanathar, which is not surprising considering it's a Xanathar that got destroyed.
Right.
In the past.
So, are most of the rumors going to be involving the Xanathar, or the current Xanathar's dealings, or it could just be random?
It could just be random, but they're usually going to be involved with something criminal, because it's obviously that's what it was interested in life, and is still interested in. So yeah.
So would it want to thwart the current Xanathar's dealings by saying, "Oh, it's the news. I've been watching the Xanathar, and they've been dealing with this new thieves guild out of the south, and I'm going to stop that, or I'm going to put a monkey wrench in it and go crazy."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's going to be. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
He's going to be above petty stuff like floating into the market, pointing at a vendor, going, "This guy's got weed."
Oh yeah, no. It doesn't care at all about stuff like that.
He's got weed. Oh, he's from Kalimshan. We know that. He's got the spice.
The known universe is ruled by the Emperor.
What is this mud deep stuff that you're selling? What's that?
Oh, I almost forgot to tell you. The spice is found on only one planet. Yeah. Anyway, no.
And it tastes like awful.
In fact, it tastes awful. Oh, never mind.
No, never mind.
So, in all of our discussions of ghosts, do we want to talk about? Well, there are a couple that you put into the Volos guides that. Technically, yes, they're ghosts, but they're more people than they are hauntings, per se. Like Alathine Moonstar, who's... Is she a Baelnorn, or what is she down there? She's down in the Dungeon of the Crypt, or no, the Vault of Stars.
And if I told you what her nature was, that would be telling.
Well, that's true, and one just doesn't discuss such of ladies, but no.
No, that's right. My goodness.
So, well, how about, let me toss one out for you, Ed. Are ghosts out on the harbor islands? Are there any?
Oh, yeah, there are ghosts of people who froze to death in winter storms keeping watch. But I can't recall any that are important in that they bedevil the living.
Okay.
There are more things that people who have to stand watch out there now have seen or heard from and will tell others about. But they're not the sort of thing that some poor person who happens to live in Waterdeep is going to have land in their laps anytime soon.
Are you talking like along the mud flaps, or in the dock ward?
Oh, I'm sure there's some along the mud flats, but I'm thinking more of those the barrier islands.
Yeah.
Out that encircle the dock, the bay.
Right down here. Yeah.
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 These here Deepwater Isle.
Yeah, Deepwater out where they actually have walls and the forts and so on. Yeah.
Right. I can't get my
So,
my mouse
Oh, yeah.
keeps grabbing it.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. We all know they're there. There we are.
yep.
Yep.
And for all we know, I mean, we could have ghosts of merfolk or sea elves down
Oh,
in
yes.
the depths.
I have my note. I have in my notes, but not with me tonight. Merfolk ghosts. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I do indeed.
That would attack boats coming into harbor, then, right?
Well, not so much
maybe.
attack, but yeah,
Or visit. I'm sorry. Attack.
yeah.
Visit. What about just the ghosts of sailors whose ship was dashed along the rocks there during a storm? Or
Yeah. There aren't too many of those, unless they were illicit things going into Skullport further north through the sea caves, because most of the ones that would be going into legitimate harbor, that's when they yell for a member of the Watchful Order, and they start magically lofting people through the air, and so that even if they have been dashed on the rocks and are dying, their body gets brought to shore.
Okay.
Because remember, they are also concerned with, say, the ghouls, Lacedon, and bodies of the undead. They don't want any of that stuff, so they take steps to prevent stuff like that.
Yeah. Can I throw one in for
Sure.
local color?
Yeah, it's your time.
Just
it's
for
your
what
turn, man.
for what Jeff has on his screen, there's right the upper rightmost corner of the below the south gate and that little bay area. Yep, right where you're
right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Right at the foot there's a tiny little beach area right beneath that tower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Talking about here?
No. Further up.
Down here.
Here. Up. Yep. Right where you're at. Yeah.
Way up.
Okay. Yeah. That beach area. At least one large trade ship ran aground there in a storm. Nobody can remember the name of the ship, but it was a fairly spectacular loss of cargo and life. And when the seas are as stormy as they were that night, which this was a ship that should have been able to make it to safety, but the waves dashed it up against the rocks there. And when the waves reach high enough to lap over the top of those rocks and the base of that tower, the guards on that tower and on the walls surrounding will see the outline of that shipwreck.
Really?
Yeah. So the shipwreck, the ship and all of its contents are long gone from like more than 150 years ago. But when stormy seas erupt and they lash up over those rocks there, you will see the at least the water seems to wash around a shipwreck.
So
even
is
if you can't see the shipwreck.
Is it actually like a ghost ship, or just the lack of water being like the outline of the ship?
It's hitting the outline of a ship.
Okay.
And some people say that the next morning at dawn, anyone brave enough to go poking around down by those rocks, you will find something of worth. Now,
but it has to be after a stormy night.
It has to be after a very stormy night, because we're talking you need a good 40 or 50 foot wave to lap up to the edge of that. So it needs to be a pretty serious storm.
A night you don't want to be out in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So there are ghosts of things. They're not necessarily people always. So and then we've got all the usual color things like, well, there's two skeletons trapped in the fields around Agaron's tower. The one you put there, Ed, and I put one there in Blackstaff Tower.
Hmm.
Plus the wolves that now run around inside there too.
Yeah, Waterdeep's getting crowded in places. A lot of people live there.
Are,
Yeah.
I wonder, are there any ghosts attached to the wandering statues?
That is a good possibility. It's something I left completely alone because they started doing things with the walking statues, both in the Aaron Evans, the one of the early Ed Greenwood Presents Waterdeep novels, was the Godcatcher, and that's one of the statues. And yeah, we used them in Elaine and I used them in City of Splendor. Many people have used them since. They started using them in all sorts of Adventurers League, RPGA adventures. And so the moment they started doing that, I just sort of backed away, because otherwise, inevitably, there's going to be a contradiction. So you avoid the contradiction by just saying, "No, I'm out. I give you free reign," because that's what we've always done in the realms. You step back and because most people who weren't one of us, as in me and Steven, didn't get multiple chances to play in the realms. So when they did get a chance, they wanted to play. So we wanted to give them their chance to play.
Right.
Because we thought to ourselves, we'll have other chances. They may not.
So these skeletons, you said they're on Agaron's tower?
Yeah, I mean the classic description of it. There's always that there was a skeleton of some poor sap ages ago who tried to break in and got trapped inside the fields, and people could reach in with a stick and scatter the bones apart, and they'd eventually float back into place. Now that skeleton is still there, but there's also the skeleton of Condor Ten Rings, the villain from the Blackstaff Tower novel.
Mm-hmm.
He got trapped inside the fields as well, and Vajra the Blackstaff sent spectral wolves after him. So those wolves he's still flying around inside those fields, and the wolves are still chasing him inside those fields. And
so when you say inside the field, you mean around the Griffin? What fields are you talking about?
There are magical force fields around Agaron's tower that do not allow anyone in.
I'm sorry. So the magical force fields. I thought you meant fields like field.
No.
No. They're force fields. So yeah.
Okay.
Because otherwise, people would be busting into that tower like every night. Sure that interred with Agaron must be a whole bunch of powerful magic that they can buy, use, or sell. Or trade.
Yep. Though that reminds me, I can think of one piece of real estate that is owned by, or has been owned by, a ghost for the longest time, and I haven't decided if she's alive again or not. She was the ghost with the shoe
ghost
knife.
the most, baby.
Yeah. Oh, and now I forgot her name.
Can't do that to old men, Jeff.
I am an old man.
No, you're not.
I'm turning 61 on Saturday.
Oh, all right. Okay.
You are old. There you go.
Okay, you're old. Fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
God, it's hard to believe that I saw you a year ago down in Georgia.
I know, it's been a year. Isn't that wild?
The devil went down to Georgia. No.
That's it. Well,
shh. Don't tell.
Okay.
Don't tell. Don't tell anybody.
Okay, let's do another ghost.
Okay.
Another ghost.
And this is different. This is Anther Belynkur. So Anthur, Anther Belynkur, Belynkur. Anther Belynkur. You've never heard of him. And that's not surprising, because he was a builder in Waterdeep. As in, I don't mean he was owning a firm. I mean he was one of those schmucks who does all the hard work. He was a mason, he was a plasterer, he was a carpenter, and he was a fabricator. But he wasn't gilded in any of those. He was like one of the guys who just does the work. You know, shows up in your crew. Now, in his later years, he was afflicted with a mysterious wasting disease that defied magical cures. As in, the magical cures worked, but the disease reappeared within a month or so. And because it was magical, and he went to the Watchful Order and said, "Save me," and they couldn't. They couldn't. They did the honorable thing, honorable for them, which was to pass him on to Kelvin. And so Kelvin handed this poor guy to one of his apprentices, a young lady by the name of Shantarbra Hintel, Shantarbra, Shantarbra Hintel, Hintle, Hintel, and she tackled the cure of Answer Belencourt as a project, but she made little headway, and the time came when Belencourt's weakness and pain had reached heights he found intolerable, and he begged for Shantarbra to end his life. She refused, but a chance meeting with a Watchful Order magus, and they obviously talked about it with each other during that chance meeting, gave her the idea to offer the stricken builder an unlife of sorts, binding him to Blackstaff Tower's enchantments to improve its rebuilding itself powers. You know, we all know that if you damage Blackstaff Tower, it will start to repair itself in small ways. Yeah. So she thought, well, it'll repair itself faster and better if we have a builder on staff. And so she tried to improve the powers by fusing him somehow with the enchantment. He was fine with this, Belencourt. He jumped at the chance, and he was overjoyed to find his pain gone and his wasted strength replaced by magic. So he became part of Blackstaff Tower, silent and unseen, a part of its ability to repair itself. Now, things went along fine for quite some time, but recently, it seems, either some incident has granted him more freedom and energy, or some deterioration of the enchantments or his sanity has occurred, because, still silent and unseen, but obviously able to see and avoid the living, Antler has begun to roam the city from the northern edge of Castle Ward and all areas south of that, throughout Waterdeep, making minor repairs to loose stones and shutters, always aloft, never at street level. So he's not fixing cobbles. He's fixing, that little loose stone up on the pediment at the top of your house, the brownstone. He makes minor fixes, not large-scale repairs. Why is he doing it? Unknown.
So
there
it
you
could
go.
be anywhere in Castle Ward only?
No, Castle Ward, the northern edge of Castle Ward, and any part of the city south of that.
Oh, okay.
I like that.
I like that idea too. That suddenly somebody goes, "Oh, I got to go up there and fix those loose tiles," and the next day they come out and go, "Well, they're fixed. What happened?"
Yeah, and he's totally unpredictable. You can't command him to do anything. Most people don't even know he's there, or that he
Can you
exists.
see him when you see him?
No.
Does it?
No, he's still silent. He's still unseen. Just I guess if you were watching him, the stones would seem to move by themselves.
Okay.
Interesting. I like that.
With only a waft of Amontillado to tell you that he was there. But that wine doesn't exist in the City of Splendor, so forget it.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I love it. Are you kidding?
I do. Yeah, that's fun.
And I've got, let's see, how many more do I have here? 1, 2, 3. I have 3 more.
Okay.
But it's
Why
your
don't-
turn.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay. And I scribbled down a bunch after I printed this printout out that I'm looking at, and so I have to keep going back to a file. Here we are. This is a living person I'm going to talk about with her. She is very close to Blackstaff Tower. She lives in the Font of Knowledge. Her name is Calara, Calarra, Huntresses, in quotes. It's her nickname. Huntresses. Surname Ullith, Ulllyth. She is a middle-aged half-elven woman and a priest of the Font of Knowledge, right there on the Lower Walk, just east of Sword Street, and a catty corner from Blackstaff Tower.
Mm-hmm.
And she, if if anybody is touted as the most knowledgeable person in the city about ghosts, it's her. And as a priest of Ogma, it's not terrifically surprising, but it's more her. It's her personal, research, obsession, whatever you want to call it. She has a personal library of about 200 books and tomes that record and note prominent or lesser ghosts and hauntings nearly everywhere between the Desserin and the Delambir rivers. So it's a lot of stuff around Waterdeep and the other cities in the northern Savage Frontier and that area. So it touches a little bit of Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter, Ullavin, Arabelle, I think. Yeah, but between those two major river systems, a lot of those settlements and whatnot, she's walked all those lands. She's kind of done the Lafcadio Hearn thing of collecting lots and lots of ghost stories and writing them down. So she's written a few of her books, but she's also just been collecting any and all books that have to do with hauntings. Not things like this is how you fight undead. It's more just recording the lore, recording the folklore of it all, and perhaps what are the warnings that these things bring with them. So
right.
And there's probably I'm gonna freewheel it here a bit. There are more than, given the number of lost kingdoms and realms that are all over this area, there's more than a few books about the fact that the dreams of these realms still haunt the lands. So do you want a book all about the haunted, what still lingers from Falorm or from Atalantar or nuts, I just lost the name. The Stornenter, Leryl's old thing with Port Last and so forth. So there are so many things that we've got places that are haunted by people, by events, by things. It goes to say that there's the possibility that yes, perhaps the dream of some sort of realm or a people still haunts the lands too. And it's not limited to just humans or elves or whatnot. Imagine
where's she located on the map exactly?
She lives in the Font of Knowledge, so back up by Blackstaff Tower in that large temple, just catty corner from Blackstaff, right south of the Chazal's race. Remember we were looking at that? Right there.
Oh, you mean that L-shaped place?
Yeah, that L-shaped thing. That's the cathedral complex that is the Font of Knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It should
one
have been way
massive
bigger than
building with
label.
some outbuildings for the acolytes to live in, or
Right.
there's a scriptorium and a place to brew ink.
Would that be all these buildings surrounding it?
No, those are going to be separate businesses. That L-shaped thing is more like the eastern the right side of the L is the large cathedral, but then there's probably supplementary buildings within a small enclosure wall.
Okay.
So, given that the size of that, it's not an insignificant piece of real estate.
No, it's large.
Yeah. So,
It's as large as or takes up as much space as Blackstaff Tower.
yep. And we know that always contains several score of people.
Right,
So,
right.
okay.
Talk among yourselves. Hold on a second.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I need to take a quick time out. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Sure. You
Seventh
take a
inning
time out,
stretch.
and I will give you another ghost. And this one
Okay.
is a ghost that haunts Purgirin's palace.
Yay!
Yeah, Purgirin's palace has a ghost. Now this ghost, because of where it haunts, it's often magically dispelled by watchful order magists, but not current open lord Laryl Silverhand, who knows better and doesn't mind this haunting. But it always reappears a few 10 days later, and this is the ghost of Oblur the Inquisitive. Or Oblur if you prefer. It's Oblur. There's nobody alive today who remembers exactly how it was pronounced, and the man himself isn't telling, because the man himself, well, in life, he was a hired-by-many spy, who was also a self-taught sorcerer, so although he tried to keep his gift a secret. Oblur was a superb actor and good at disguises, and was often hired to spy on doings at the palace. We're talking the 1350s and 1360s DR back then. He was eventually slain by being caught in a spell crossfire as he tried to flee through a warded palace doorway. The roiling spell chaos of the three magics, as in the crossfire of two spells being hurled at each other by mages he wasn't part of, this battle that was going on, but their two spells plus the ward on the doorway, so all three of them, he was caught in all three of them. It vaporized him, but it somehow preserved his sentience, and in time, he began to manifest as a moving, watchful eye that by its behavior is evidently still linked to a reasoning sentience. These days, more than a century later, Oblur is a lone, spectral, translucent eye that flies about or hovers, watching in utter silence. When he blinks, the eye momentarily vanishes entirely. Oblur doesn't speak, but he obviously hears and understands speech nearby, and he's been known to communicate by meaningful movements. Like, if somebody says, well, what direction? The eye will swoop in a direction and sort of boop off the wall, or it'll go to a door or whatever, and then blink at you. So, I mean, he can hear you and understand you, he just can't speak. He haunts the palace, including its cellars and underways, and has been seen once or twice gliding above the slopes of Mount Waterdeep immediately behind the palace. So just to the west there, above the palace. His range, as in how far he can move, is unknown, but he seems to cling to the palace itself. During several illicit intrusions into the palace, he's been seen to watch with interest, but not to alert the defenders of the palace.
Vaporized, you say?
Yes, vaporize. Vaporize, let nothing only evade your eyes. No, yes,
Great. Next,
stop
we're
me
going to
before
find out about the Gilbert and Sullivan analogs that haunt
Yes.
the
That's right.
Waterdeep.
Oh, please don't get me started.
That's a whole other show.
Yes,
Yeah, a really, really
Gilbert
big
does.
show.
a really, really big show. Thank you, Steven. Yes.
Gilbert does Sullivan at Waterdeep.
Oh, my.
Oh my. And there
Good night,
went
everybody.
the rating. Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh
Uh-huh.
my god.
Well, I have a couple of story hooks that tie to the high. I'm sorry. Were you done with your?
Yes.
This, well, it's not quite. Well, it's less a ghost than a haunting, but it ties to two previous open lords, or at least one of the most famous open lords, being Pirgarin Paladin's son, and his father, who's I'm blanking on the name, and now I got to.
Pirgarin Paladin father.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I couldn't
was
resist.
bad. Athar the Shining Knight.
Thank you.
That's who it
Oh
was.
wow, Jeff.
I
Wow.
couldn't help myself.
Yes, you could have. But
Yes, you could, but you didn't.
But I didn't. That's right. That's right.
Okay, so Athar the Shining Knight, long before Pirgarin ever became Open Lord, slew Hysterianth the Red, an ancient dragon. That dragon came back as an undead Draco Lich during Halaster's High Harvesttide, 1369, and had to be reslain by Pirgarin with the same sword that slew it the first time. This happened on the slopes of Mount Waterdeep. Well, with the map that we have open currently, you see those two little trees that are east of where it's marked Fetlock Court? Come up the cliff and up the slopes there?
Here. Yeah. Here.
Okay, right between, in that area is where the dragon was destroyed a second time.
Oh.
Now, since it's been about, 100 years, 90 years since that, any paladin that walks across the point where Hysterianth died that second time will, and it only afflicts paladins, this has happened 3 times since then, they will be afflicted with a raging fever, having crossed that point of death. If
I got the feed.
if they are not cured, they
La 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 la